Hey everybody, it's Judy Clock, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Middletown, Virginia, coming to you with another tutorial. And today we're going to talk about a technique where we can take our embossing folders and go beyond the basics. We're going to do some embellished embossing, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can sort of jazz up your dry embossed images. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's swap out our cameras. Hide this one. There we go. So the first one I want to show you is we're going to be using our brayer. Remember a few weeks back I showed you how to do some background techniques using our brayer. So you'll notice it's on my desk. My legs are down. I'm going to take some bubble bath ink, and I've got a piece of our basic white, and we're just going to add some ink to our brayer. Now remember, when it's a light ink color, it's kind of hard to see on the brayer, but I'm just rolling it over my ink pad, and then I'm just going to roll it in all different directions to get some light color onto my basic white cardstock. Don't worry about the lines. That's all going to add texture and interest to our cardstock. I can't even pick this up. Okay, and just a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to use an embossing folder. Let me bring up one of our embossing folders. Okay, got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. I forget what this is called. It's got the hearts on it. I'll have to look up the name. But I'm going to put my paper, my inked up cardstock inside the folder, and then I'm just going to run it through. So I've got plate 1, my 3D embossing folder, plate 4, and we are just going to run this through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss. All right, take that out. Okay, so now you can see the raised up side. We've got that pretty pink underneath. Now let's take this to the next level. So I'm going to I need to clean off my brayer because we're going to use that again. And we are going to use some strawberry slush ink on this. Let me just make sure it's clean. Looks good. Looks like there's no more bubble bath on there. So now I'm going to ink this up with some strawberry slush ink. And you'll see it's a darker ink, so you can see it's actually you can see it on the brayer. And I'm just going to take this, I'm going to roll it right over that raised up image. And look at that. Look at how pretty. Look at how it makes those hearts just pop up off that paper. I'm going to do it a little bit more because I kind of missed some up here in the center. Wow. Isn't that pretty? Look at how those hearts just really pop up off the paper. Okay, so that we did on the raised side, what's called the embossed side. And here it is on a finished card. How pretty does that look? A lovely little, anniversary card. You can use it for a birthday card, whatever you want. But that is just adding, we just brayered on some bubble bath, a lighter color, and then after we embossed it, we took our brayer and we just rolled it over with a darker color to make those raised images pop up. Now these next 2 techniques are very fun, but a little messy. So I always keep a stash of these latex gloves in my craft room for techniques such as this. Let me just put my brayer over here. Let me just wipe that down real quick. Now for these, I've already embossed the pieces, just because you saw how we embossed it. And these we're going to work with the pieces after we have embossed the cardstock. So for this one, oops, my glove is caught up on my ring. I can't get it to go on. There we go. So we're going to use this one. This is retired. This one's on the last chance list, this dotted circles. But we've got, so this is the side where you see the Stampin' Up! Logo. when you take it off, that is what's called the embossed side. They're all raised up. We want to flip this over and we want to use the debossed side where we have those recesses, those little dots are recessed. Okay, so now we're going to take our Night of Navy and I am going to put it at a slight angle. I'm going to swipe it over my debossed image. Do it as many times to get the color saturation that you want, but you can see why this is a little bit messy, right? But now look at how those pretty white debossed areas just really pop against that Night of Navy. So that's another way to take your embossing up to the next level. Let me show you the card that I made with it. For this card, I actually used smoky slate instead of the white because I was using the gears and textures. And I am kind of obsessed with this card because look at that. Those gears actually spin. That's a little mechanism I bought off Amazon. You can buy them. And they will actually make your elements move and spin. So how fun is that? So that is what you can do with a debossed layer when you use the debossed side and you just swipe some ink over it. You make those recesses really pop and look really spectacular. All right, lastly, this is also another one where we're going to have to put on our gloves again. I just didn't want to get the ink from that previous technique onto my samples. Now this one we're using the Celebrate Sunflowers. Again, when I take it out, I want to flip it over and I want to use the debossed side. So this one is going to be a little bit more involved. Now you'll notice there's a lot of recessed spots on this one because of the sunflowers. Now I've got here Misty Moonlight. I'm going to swipe this over and look at how the Misty Moonlight kind of makes those flowers really pop, right? But now I wanted to add some more color. So this is where it's really fun. And now I don't need my gloves. I'm going to take my gloves off because for this, I'm going to be using our sponge daubers. So I'm going to start out with some pecan pie. Make sure I got the right. Which one was my pecan pie? This one might be pecan pie. There we go. I'm going to take some pecan pie and I'm going to kind of go in all those flower centers. I love the way this one turned out. I think it's just so pretty. And that blue just adds the right kind of touch to it. Now this one, I'm going to be a little bit careful because we've got some petals in there. Okay, then I'm going to come in here. I want to make the centers of my flowers a little bit darker. So I'm going to come in here with some early espresso. Just going to add some color right to the middle of our flower. Okay. Now I've got some leaves here. So again, I'm going to come in with some old olive. I'm going to add some color to our leaves. Excuse me. Pollens are really high right now for trees, and I am really feeling the effects of the high pollen count. Anybody else suffer from allergies? Let me know. Now, all of these instructions will be on the inspiration sheet that is housed in my Crafty Collective Inspiration Vault, which is available to subscribers. It's $9 a month, and you get every single inspiration sheet that's there. Right now, there are 14. After this one uploads, there'll be 15 there. So I add one every week. Okay, we're going to add, I think there's another leaf here. Just trying to get all the leaves. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to come in with some color. Now I've got Darling Duckling and I've got crushed curry. So I'm going to start with the Darling Duckling. This is a little bit lighter. I'm just going to kind of color in my flowers. This is everything else that we sort of didn't do. So this is such a fun way to add some color and just really kind of make these embossed images just come to life. I think it's just so, it's fun, it's pretty, it's limited only by your imagination, what you want to do. So have fun with it. Just play, experiment. That's what it's all about. It's all about experimenting and trying new things. And when you do something like this, it doesn't really matter if it's perfect or not, because it's art, and art is never really perfect, right? It's an experiment. Okay, a bit more there. Now, I'm going to add a little bit more depth to my flowers, and that's where we're going to come in with the crushed curry. Got a pretty good base on there. Okay, and I'm going to add some crushed curry towards the center of the flowers, just kind of making those a little bit deeper, those inside layers a little bit more intense color wise. All right. That is, I think, pretty much it for now. But look, when you're done, look at what you can do with that finished embellished embossing. How pretty is this? I am in love with this card. I just think this is so pretty. So if you just sort of use your embossing folders just to add texture, go ahead and experiment and take it to the next level by adding some color. So we did it one of three ways. Here we brayered on some color on the basic white, we embossed it, and then we went back with our brayer and rolled a deeper color over those raised up images to really make those embossed hearts really pop. So that is one way to do it. The other way, and that's on the embossed side. Then we took and we did the debossed side, and we just added some color. We just swiped our ink pad right down and just got that beautiful color, and let the debossed pieces, like the debossed sections, really stand out and pop against that deeper ink. And then, of course, we added these fun little elements, which I just think are so fun. I'm obsessed. And then for this one, we did sort of the same technique as we did for the second one. We swiped our ink pad down, but because there was so much of a larger image that was debossed, we went ahead and we added additional coloring with our daubers and just really kind of brought those images to life. So those are the three cards and the three ways that you can sort of go beyond your basic embossing folder and add color along with your texture to really make those embossed pieces really pop. And you'll notice I didn't really do a lot of anything else. This is probably the most intricate one that I've done, with a lot of die cuts and, of course, the spinning mechanisms. But other than that, I kept these very simple, especially this one, because that beautiful coloring is just really just kind of tells the whole story about the card. So that's it. I hope that you give these techniques a try. They're a lot of fun. Again, highly recommend some latex gloves in your craft room for when you're doing a technique like this. Saves your sanity from getting everything all messy. That's it for me. I'll be back next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.